Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast, or should I say, the Lego Star Wars Underworld Podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. And this week, it's a big week for Lego. A couple of crazy new Lego sets were revealed. We're going to talk about them. Also, one of the most popular expanded universe characters of all time is making his television debut in Lego Star Wars Pieces of the Past. We're going to talk about that. And we've got a plethora of questions to get to in our beloved iconic segment, Ask the SWU. All that and much more on this episode. My name is Dominic, and joining me, as always, he's the founder of the Star Wars Underworld. It's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be with you on the Lego Star Wars Underworld Podcast, talking about all things Lego Star Wars, and only Lego Star Wars, because literally that's all the news this week. That's all the news that came in today was just Lego, everything. And I say, bring it on. I don't care. In fact, I welcome our new Lego overlords. Okay, bring it on. I could do this every week. Okay, new Lego sets, new Lego specials, new Lego news. Like, come on.
New Lego,
living in
everything.
the golden timeline here.
Yeah, it's I will say my Star Wars collecting habits in 2025 fully shifted from Hasbro to Lego.
Yeah,
you know, I picked up, like, I used to be all in on Black Series for about the last 10 years. For that, had a flirtation with the vintage collection, and in the last year, something clicked for me where I just went, I want more than just a plastic representation. I want it in brick form, and I want to put those bricks together myself. You know?
Oh yeah, it's to me, it's the craftsmanship, not the in both in the experience of like building it, and like you're halfway through, like, how in the hell is this going to be what's on the box at the end of this? Like, how are they doing it? And then it ends up happening. But then also, like, the ingenuity in the designs. And if you're old enough to, like, remember really old Lego sets, or just go Google some really early, like, 1999 Lego sets, like, they were very, very good, but very rudimentary compared to the just insane architecture, brick architecture that goes into these new sets. And it's just amazing. And then what you get with things like, it's really nice model of a Star Wars ship or whatever else. Yeah, it's just there's nothing beats it for me. Like, I love my action figures, I love my Black Series, I love all those guys. You know, I love my Funko Pops too. I was obsessed with those for a long time. But I also know that, like, it all costs money, guys. The money goes quick, and I'm just like, I really need to focus on what I really love. And, like, I have like, yes, nostalgia is a huge part. Legos have been with me since literally my first memory. So, like, it's kind of an easy choice for me.
Yeah, like, Lego was kind of the first Star Wars collectibles that I remember having. Like, Star Wars, I won't even call them collectibles. They were, toys. It was as a kid. As with most things with Star Wars, my parents thought they were just, doing like a fun little thing and not realizing the monster that they were unleashing. Because I remember for my brother's birthday one year, my mom just got him this, like, little Lego set it was Palpatine's throne and like the Death Star window. It's like a little tiny thing.
I had that one. I had the exact one you're talking about.
With Palpatine and Vader minifigures. And I remember her just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to give this to Anthony. Anthony's my brother. It'll just be like a fun little thing for him to build because it's Star Wars. And like, he got that. And like, next thing you know, him and I were like pouring over the flyers that would come in from Toys R Us, or here's one for Canadians from back in the day, Zellers. And we would be like pouring all over these things, picking out the Lego sets that we wanted and stuff. And of course, like you're a kid, you don't fully understand how money works. So you're like, yeah, I got the Millennium Falcon and an X-Wing and a Death Star. I want all of them.
And like, this is obviously the days before the internet. It wasn't like, oh, let's go online, let's see what happened today. It's like, oh, what is the breaking news for the Lego? Like, what is the new sets that are coming that just got announced? It was like this little tiny little booklet with all this amazing stuff. Oh, the big Cloud City set. Oh my gosh, if I could ever have something like that, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. And well, and like, honestly, like some of the first websites I remember visiting was like lego.com and their like little Star Wars website with the games and like, you know, they'd be
shorts.
Like, and like
Star Wars shorts.
And like finish the comic book with your own picture of your Lego sets and stuff. Like it was like the early days and
or if you were a true Lego maniac like myself, you got the official Lego magazine. I think it was a monthly thing. I don't know. I can't remember. I have a bunch of those somewhere in my attic, probably. But like seeing that, and people would like submit their own like designs. You would get like there was a fan page where you could see what people submitted. Like, and it's like, oh, what if I make a set and I submit it? And you know, just these pipe dreams and like it would be all kinds of stuff in that magazine.
Well, and like all of that stuff has since like evolved into new things, like the Lego ideas page where people submit ideas that sometimes do actually get made into sets. Like the lightsaber Lego set and things like that sort of started off there. The Doctor Who set started off there.
Wow.
Like it's things like that like just it comes from that original idea. And that's the sort of the wild and interesting and sort of ironic thing about Lego is part of the fun of Lego as a kid is that creativity of like building something original. Like before, you know, part of the reason I think that like a Lego Star Wars set or any of that stuff captures your imagination is because probably before that you had a bucket of bricks and you were just putting them together. And as you're putting them together, you're going, oh, this is so much fun. This is so cool. And you're figuring out what you can do with, you know, limited, but not restrictive pieces. And then all of a sudden somebody opens your eyes up with, hey, look at this X-Wing. Hey, look at this Death Star. Hey, you know, now the Harry Potter sets were really big when I was a kid. Like, look at the Hogwarts castle and all that stuff. Like those things, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, you can do even so much more. And then you look at the adult Lego clubs that exist now, the AFOLs, AFOL, adult fans of Lego. They the stuff those guys do is wild. The Toronto club's Toro Lug, they do some great things. They will sometimes have a display at Fan Expo or Toronto Comic Con, and it's just wild. And you see these Lego conventions, you see the clips on YouTube and TikTok and everything, and it's just incredible stuff. So there's a reason this brand is lasting despite how bloody expensive it all is. Like that's the other part is like you buy the set and then you look at the price tag and you just kind of have to wince. But for some reason, because you have to sit there and then put it together, it feels like a little bit more palatable than just, as much as I do love the Hasbro stuff or even like a Funko Pop. You know, there's you get a more tactile experience than just looking at it on your shelf. You know?
Yeah. It's like you get a vehicle and you know, like any of those, even an action figure, it's like there's this endorphin rush of opening it. Like things, unless you're one of those weirdos that leaves in the package. Some of mine
nuts, insane people. But
like you get that rush of opening, and it's just like you set it on the table and you're like, all right, that's it. That's all I'm getting out of it. Like, it's great. And like, I love looking at my figures, but also it's like, I can't do anything else with it. Versus like getting a Lego and being like, all right, I could do that. Like literally I have an X-Wing. It's right there. I've had it for years, but I'm savoring the opportunity to crack it open and build it when I have some downtime. I'm not going to do it until I can actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm like a Lego like binge builder, because like I've got a little pile in my room of a couple of sets that have sort of been saving up, and I will let that pile build up. And I did this earlier this summer. Like the pile had built up to a point, and then I just sort of went nuts over 3 weeks and built like 2/3 of them, and just had the best time. You put on something fun in the background, some episodes of The Office or The Mandalorian or just something, and you build with that soundtrack. Or it was a good. It's a fun thing. That's why it's sticking around. That's why we're going to talk a lot about it tonight. The chat chiming in as well. Ingenious saying putting them together is just part of the experience. It's something you put together with your own hands. And Joel Davis jumps in and says, I am an adult fan of Lego. Yeah, it's fun times. It is fun times. It is just the two of us, Ben. Chris and Hannah, nowhere to be found this week. Well, they're off doing other fun and interesting things, leaving us to discuss the Lego. But we will get to more brick chat in just a moment, though. As always, we want to remind you to punch the subscribe button. That way you will never miss an episode of this show. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen. You can super chat with us during the show to ensure that your comment or question will be read as part of our Ask the SWU segment. Somebody's already gotten in on that. I give you one guess as to who that is. And you can become a channel member in between shows. And it's like leaving something in the tip jar. As we say, we're not one of those cool shows that has it together where you get something bonus. We used to do that. Shout out to anybody that remembers
Undying
KanjaCast.
affection.
Yes, you get our undying affection. And leave a review if you're listening on a platform that lets you leave a review. Join our Discord to keep the conversation going between shows. Ben, what's going on in the Discord these days?
I believe tomorrow, as of this time, there will be a game night happening. D&D is still a couple of weeks off. They're still building everything for that. I'm going to submit my character, Jesse. I promise. Okay. I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to wait till the last minute. So be prepared. But a lot of stuff going on over there. Check out the Minecraft server. We're very proud of that. Look, I went in and went crazy in the Minecraft server the other night. Okay. Speaking of getting obsessive with things, I built a bridge. I tidied up everything. I installed an in-ground pool. It was great. Go check it out. Star Wars Underworld Minecraft server.
I know that's not how it works, but I like to envision you with a shovel, just digging away, making an in-ground pool.
I mean, virtually, yes. I was doing exactly that.
Yeah, exactly. Also follow us on social media at the SWU and check out the other shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network. That's the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, the Tractor Beam. 2 of those shows are on this YouTube channel, the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, and 2 of them are on their own channels. And I will leave it to you to figure out which is which, or just listen to last week's show when Chris said the answer. All right, that's that. A couple more folks chiming in the chat with Lego related comments. Dan Grievous says, I feel very zen when I build a big set with glorious Star Wars music in my ears. That is a fun way to build it. I will say the last time I didn't watch something, I didn't have like something on in the background. I just listened to something. It's kind of the opposite of listening to Star Wars music. I think I was listening to a political podcast while building a Lego set. I'm like, let me learn about the rise of the Empire while building a TIE fighter. And Joel says, I love doing the Lego Star Wars Advent calendar every year. That, I think, of all the innovations that Lego has done over the last few decades, might be their greatest idea. I look forward to that every year, every December, building your Lego Advent calendar. It is like, yeah, it's the thing I love everything about Christmas, but that's the thing I think I might look forward to the most. And nothing is more disappointing than December 26th and realizing there's no more. You don't get another little Lego set to build till next year. And that's when you have to build the big one that you got for Christmas the day before. That's the plan. All right. Speaking of big Lego sets people might want for Christmas, there's a new Death Star there is a new Death Star. This is the new Ultimate Collector Series Death Star. It's 9,023 pieces, 39 minifigures, and costs 1 penny less than $1,000 USD. Ben, what do you think of this monstrosity? You are muted.
Whoopsie. I love that this is weirdly controversial. Weirdly, as Lego sets often do. This leaked a few weeks ago. This has been in the winds for a few weeks now. So there's been some chatter online about what this is going to be, when they were going to officially announce it, where we're going to actually get the final details on it. Supposedly going to be the biggest and the most expensive Lego Star Wars set, or Lego set like ever. So we're very excited about this, but apparently, and they've very skillfully edited the photos of this thing and posed it in such a way that you really can't tell this right off the bat. But the back of it is flat. It's not round like the Death Star. It is basically a flat circle. And if you see pictures of like that one or ones like there, like it's right up against the wall, you can tell like there's no depth to it. And people are angry about that, as you do. People are angry about that. Like, oh, it's shortchanged, because I think everyone was thinking about like they had the smaller version of this. I feel like this is the upscale of the old school, like the small Death Star that had like it was like a full 3D.
It was
full ball
360 kind of globe thing,
right? And it had the different scenes in it like this. Yeah. And this approach is just like kind of like. This is kind of a wall decoration type thing, which I think is perfectly fine. But people are, obviously they're like, well, I'm paying $1,000 for this thing. It better have all the bells and whistles. And really, it's just like it's a thing you look at from one side.
Yeah, this is the thing. It is sort of like a reboot or a remix of that other Lego Death Star. That's what it is. And so you have to make it different from that other Death Star. And the downside of that other Death Star, besides, cost, is that it's so friggin' big. And it is sort of impossible to display unless you kind of put it in the middle of a room where you can walk around and see all the different aspects to it. This is an attempt to make something that is where you can just sort of look at it and see the whole thing. A lot of I think Lego has put a lot of time and effort lately into making things that are more display pieces. I think it's an acknowledgement of their, aging fan base that in addition to making stuff that is toys for kids, they are also making things that are more display pieces. And there's that whole line of like miniature scenes. Like I don't even know what I'm sure there's a proper term for it, but like there's the pod race, there's the speeder bike chase. You can get sort of like the mini versions of ships that are kind of again meant to be displayed rather than played with. They're kind of too small to really be played with. The helmets is another instance of this. There were those wall art things that they had that you could build essentially a painting of Darth Vader or Darth Maul or Kylo Ren. And this just feels like a version of that, where you're building this to put it somewhere where it is up against a wall so that you can just look at it and see the whole thing all in one. I don't really understand people being mad about it. I understand people being mad like about the price, because everything is too expensive these days. Right. And you want something like this, it looks really, really cool, and then you think it's $1,000, and it's $1,000 US. So that means it's going to be 1,500 Canadian. Like wherever you live in the world, that like this is a big investment of money for something like this. So I can understand people being like, why is everything so expensive these days? But that's a larger economic conversation. In terms of just making something fun to be displayed rather than played with, and honestly, you could probably play with this thing too if you wanted to. This feels like a really, really cool concept. It's a slice of the Death Star, and you get to see basically every cool scene.
Yeah, because you also have to think of it practically, like you were saying with the smaller one, of like, because it's relatively small, and Dan Grievous points out that original Death Star was in Spider-Man, within the Spider-Man trilogy. Literally it's in there, and then it gets broken, which is very sad.
So funny.
But it's
I volunteer on the next Spider-Man movie to be the guy who builds all 7 of those that they need for all the different takes. That's
there was a
I want that
guy
job.
they just bought. There was like a stagehand that was their job that day, just to build Lego Death Stars. And it would have been great. But you have to think of it practically, of just like, okay, if this thing is a full, like, a half of a Death Star, basically, you cut the Death Star down in half and you have one half of it. How do you make the thing stand up? First of all, like, what are the supports under it? Because it's going to be lopsided. It's going to be huge. What do you do with it? Because it's going to take up so much space. And and then you have all the internal spaces. Like, how do you deal with that? Whatever else. And then you could do, like, we were joking not long ago, like, Ultimate Collector Series Death Star, like a life-size Death Star, like, like even a fraction of that size, like, they're still huge. And I think this is probably the most practical version of that, because you have to, because then it's like, oh yeah, it's $2,000. No, it's $3,000. Like, no, I think they were shooting for that $99.99 to make it a little more palpable.
$9.99.99.
Right. There's a lot of nines.
If it was $100,
too many nines.
If it was $100 for this, I'd take it. That'd be right there.
Oh yeah, everybody would. But so I think ultimately this is probably the best version of this. And I mean, it looks great. Am I rushing out October 1st to with my grand in my pocket to go and buy this? No, unless somebody has some to lend me. But it's really cool. I can't wait to go to a Lego store and see this in person, because it's an amazing set, and all the scenes that it recreates and all the stuff, and you basically getting like that upper set with the throne room looks pretty much exactly like the other throne room, like the scene set you get. I think they released recently.
Yes, as the chat point out, those are the diorama scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're basically getting a bunch of dioramas, which if you bought them all would probably be about $1,000. So there you go.
I mean, top right corner, throne room, bottom left corner, trash compactor. Those were both diorama scenes, and it seems like they've just recommissioned those or redid those, remixed them a little bit to make them into fitting into this set. It's pretty cool. I think this is great. Like, it, as with the HasLab stuff. No, I'm not going to buy it. I don't have that kind of money. Sorry, I'm not getting a gunship or this. But if I did, this is the kind of thing I would love to get. And, more than, say, the gunship or, a lot of other products from any of the licensees, this feels like something that if you wanted to save up for it, it's probably going to feel more worth it than, again, no disrespect to the HasLab team and what they designed with that gunship. But I feel like I'd feel better. I'd feel more excited about this than that.
Yeah, this is much more of a unique thing. And speaking of building experience, like, this is, imagine building that thing. Like, I would pay money just to build it for somebody else. Like, I don't even just let me come in and build it, and you can have it afterwards, but I want to be able to build it.
Yeah. So as mentioned, it comes with 38 minifigures. So if you're wondering who those are, that's Admiral Piet, C-3PO, Chewbacca, Colonel Yularen, Darth Vader, Director Krennic, Emperor Palpatine, Galen Erso, General Taggy, Grand Moff Tarkin, Han Solo in Stormtrooper disguise, Hot Tub Stormtrooper from the Skywalker Saga video game, Imperial crew member, there's 2 of them, an Imperial dignitary, an Imperial gunner, an Imperial Navy officer, 2 Imperial Navy troopers, an Imperial officer, 2 Imperial Royal Guards, an Imperial shuttle pilot, KX-9A1, Luke Skywalker Jedi, Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper disguise, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, R2-D2, R2-Q5, and 6 Stormtroopers.
There you
There you go. Some of those minifigures, I feel like I know, like, that's where you get a little bit of the extra value, because I mean, who doesn't want an Admiral Piet minifigure? And where else are you going to get it? General Taggy? Come on.
Oh, come on. Yeah, that's
Mahdi.
That's just
Mahdi
great.
on here.
I love the imperial dignitary in his purple dress and his giant hat. It's so good. Like that figure alone is going to be on like eBay before October 2nd. Like they're going to be selling that for hundreds of dollars. Like that's such a cool figure.
Yeah, and I like it, like how, you know, like with a lot of the Ultimate Collector Series sets, it comes with the display plate of information about the Death Star, and you're supposed to put a minifigures next to it. I like that it's Krennic and Galen next to it, like the guys who built the Death Star. We stand here amidst their accomplishments as we look at these things up on our walls. But wait, there's more. That's not all. In addition to the set, if you buy it on October 1st when it comes out, you get a gift with purchase, and it's another 200-piece set of a TIE fighter and Imperial hanger rack, which, oh boy, who doesn't want that?
You can recreate Andor.
Yeah, really. I guess this goes in the Death Star.
It goes. I think there's a space if you look right to the left of the Lambda shuttle. There's a space. I think that's where it's supposed to go. Which is really cool.
Pretty cool. And like for a gift with purchase, this is fairly substantial. It's 2 more stormtroopers than the TIE pilot, in addition to a TIE fighter, this little piece that the TIE fighter hangs on in the wall in the hangar, and then like a little driving thing. Like that's a set that they would, I think, normally sell for like $30-$40.
Oh yeah. Like will it have any influence on my decision not to buy this? No, but you know, it's really cool. And if you are buying this or thinking about buying it, you know, it might push you over the edge.
Yeah. It'd be just a little extra something. I did see a very angry TikTok where someone was basically raging about the fact that unless you buy day of and get this gift with purchase, you will have an incomplete set because there's a space for this TIE fighter and this hanging rack, and you know the Lego should be ashamed of themselves and all this stuff. And it's one of those arguments where I'm like, I can't fathom getting this angry about it. But like on principle, I kind of agree. You built the space into the set for this, just include it in the set and let the gift with purchase be something else. But I mean, imagine $1,000. I cannot get worked up about it. It's
imagine someone coming over to your house and you have this on display. And this is amazing. And they walk in and they're like, there's an empty space there. How dare you, sir? You should be ashamed of this set that you didn't get the full thing.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Again, it's as I was saying, like everything is too expensive and corporate greed is out of control, and all of that stuff is true. Full stop. But like this little piece of it isn't what's going to make or break our society. You know, it's a reflection of the reality that we unfortunately live in. And really, nobody is actually going to come to your house, see this Death Star and go, yeah, there is no TIE fighter there, and therefore this is incomplete. Worst Lego set ever. Like that's not really what's going to happen. Somebody's going to see this with or without the TIE fighter and go, whoa, that's awesome, man. Look at this thing. This is sick. Look at it. Oh, it's every scene of the whole movie. Like, come on. That's what's actually going to happen.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'll make this assessment. I think it looks kind of cool to have little Starfield in the background, just kind of empty space, because I think it would be very easy to make all the scenes a little cramped and like they're trying to squeeze all this stuff in. I like the fact that there's like with the throne room, there's a good bit of empty headroom and stuff like that. And, you know, it does kind of fill it out a bit better. So I think it's a very well-designed thing. And if the TIE fighter's not there, no one's going to notice.
Yeah, no, nobody's going to notice. And if you are that person, go touch grass. There's better things to be
Or
upset
go
about.
buy it for me. Go buy it for me. then it will not bother you. It will not bother me either.
No, exactly. But this wasn't the only Lego set that was revealed this week that we're going to talk about. Also revealed this week, the newest Lego Star Wars holiday.
This might be my favorite.
Yeah, we're talking about, can you get the Death Star? Probably not going to get the Death Star because it's too expensive. This I am getting, full stop, no doubt about it. Day and date that it's available. I'm ordering this. The gingerbread AT-AT. I'm a sucker for anything that combines Star Wars and Christmas, and to throw Lego in as well. Like this, like they basically tailor-made this product for me.
It's so good. It comes with a little gingerbread Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And like
with a candy cane lightsaber.
Come on. This is too easy. This is an easy choice.
Oh yeah. This is great. They did the Millennium Falcon like Christmas dinner scene a few years ago from the actual Lego special, the holiday special. I remember I ordered that, and like I've built that, and every year I add the like Christmas advent calendar figures to it. So like it came with like Poe and his sweater and stuff, and like I've been adding to it with Rey and Finn and BB-8 with his Santa hat and Dio with his Santa hat. Like the scene is like, it's a real crowded Millennium Falcon now, but it feels but this thing, it feels true to Christmas dinner, because my parents' house was never more crowded than Christmas Eve, when we cram all of us in.
There's too many people in here.
There are too many people, especially now that our generation has started having children. And so like, I really cannot fit any more people around this table. No more kids. No, kids are welcome. Kids are always
outside.
Yes. Just go sit outside in the cold, in the snow. And they can play with the gingerbread AT-AT. I absolutely adore this.
It opens up. It opens up. There's a little, what's inside? There's like a little,
it's like a little fireplace Christmas scene.
I thought that's what I saw. It's freaking adorable, man. It's so good.
It's so good. This one, I think this one's also available. I think they're both available October 1st.
Yes,
when all this stuff comes
they
out,
have waves. So I think this is the kind of like the reveal of the next wave, and this is like there may be more. I'm not sure, but I think they're getting set up for the holidays. We'll see what else maybe they have in store.
October 1st, 697 pieces, just shy of 700. Retails for $59.99 US. I looked that up. That's $79.99 Canadian. So I don't love that, but I'll pay.
It's funny. I'm so cynical when it comes to Lego prices that when I see something that's like, oh, this is a really nice set, it's $100. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is so cheap. Like, no, it's not cheap. You just have really bad standards. This is not cheap.
Well, it's like the TIE Bomber set. It was available on the big online store where we buy everything these days. It was available on there for like 40% off. I'm like, all right, bring it in, because like normally it's almost $100. Now I can get it on deal. I'm like, all right, buy it. And then I bought it and realized it came with a Ray Sloan minifigure. And I was like, what the hell? Sure, great, okay, that was worth the price of admission.
Random book character in this Lego set. I love when they just throw them in, and then sometimes they'll throw in like there was a Saw Gerrera figure, but it was in a set that was like for like the 20th anniversary of Lego Star Wars, so they were like throwing random minifigs in with sets that didn't go with a pod racer, and I'm just like, I love it. I don't understand it. I love it though.
Yeah, I'm here for it. It's great. So October 1st, you can order your Death Star and your gingerbread AT-AT and have a very, very merry Lego Star Wars Christmas. But there's one more. This is not a set. This is for the TV special, Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past, coming out on September 19th. So just about 2 weeks away. They dropped this kind of subtly on the official Star Wars YouTube channel today. The video is called Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy Pieces of the Past. Meet Darth Revan. That's right. After so many years of waiting, Darth Revan is going to make an appearance in Star Wars. It doesn't say who's playing him. I don't think he actually speaks in this clip.
I think because in the clip, they're like, oh, not a talker. And I think they're obviously riffing on the fact that he doesn't talk much in the video game either, which is very clever and very cool.
In the clip, you have evil Obi-Wan Kenobi enter with Darth Revan and meet Dev and Sig, who are the sort of the main characters, along with Brickhead Ahsoka. So it's pretty neat, and it's James Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he brings in Revan. This is cool. This is all this is. It's just kind of cool and fun, and it's another instance of Lego taking these characters that are perhaps a little obscure, although Revan's pretty popular because those video games were pretty popular, and giving them a moment in the sun, even if the quote unquote canon stuff isn't ready to do it just yet.
I just love the idea that at some point in the future, because Revan being as popular as a character as that is, like, you know, I feel like just one of those that it's inevitable they will be in a TV show or a movie, like a live action. Like, it's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point because that's a huge character. Someone is going to sit down in a theater and see Revan walk on screen, played by Brie Larson, by the way. And they're going to make, oh, look, it's Darth Revan from the Lego Star Wars special, Pieces of the Past. And someone is going to come around and try to choke them because they're like, no, it's from Ninth something. But it's just another instance of just like, oh God, like Jackson, this character's been part of mythology forever, is making his debut in a Lego show. Now Revan is doing the same thing, not a movie, not a live action TV series, a Lego special. This is the best. And no, I'm not counting Clone Wars because that did not happen. Okay. They animated it a little bit, but it did not come to pass.
Well, yeah. So
this is the official debut.
Oh, so I thought you were talking about Jackson's skeleton that's in A Sunny Day in the Void.
Well, and then see, Revan is in the deleted scene.
Yeah.
And Jackson has things. So I'm not counting either. That's a dead Jackson.
Yeah. So if you're not aware, it's one of the Mortis episodes, there was going to be a deleted scene where the son spoke to the spirits of Darth Bane and Darth Revan.
Yeah.
But George cut it because he did not want to imply that they were Force ghosts in the same way that Obi-Wan and Yoda and Anakin become Force ghosts at the end of the original trilogy, because in George's mind, and I think in the story as it should be, you know, there is no way for the Sith to retain their life after death. They don't have that, their consciousness after death. That's not something they can achieve. They're always seeking it, and they seek it out in a way that's selfish, not realizing that the only way to do that is to follow the Jedi path or the light side path and be selfless. Now Joel is dropping this question in the chat here. Says, you think the Revan thing is trying to tell us something, or is this just being Lego and more aimed at fans than general audiences? I think it is just a matter of, hey, this is a thing that's pulling in characters from every possible storyline, every possible medium. And in that same clip where we are introduced to Revan, Jackson is also there. Jackson was a big part of the marketing push for the first go around for this series. He's in the trailer, and Sig even says something kind of similar about Revan that Jackson says about himself in the trailer, which is, oh, I'm less familiar with you. Like, they're acknowledging that this is a bit of a deeper cut. But I don't think this is any sort of like preview of anything that is to come imminently. I do think that when they eventually get around to doing a Old Republic story in the current canon, I think I would put the odds at better than 50-50 that Revan shows up as part of it in some way, because that character is, I do think, is one of those sort of on the bubble characters for being mainstream, because Knights of the Old Republic was a huge game and it was very influential for a lot of people in their early Star Wars fandom. For people, we're coming up around 2003, 2005 when those games were coming out. That was a huge deal for them, was that game. And so I think Revan exists in a place where he's not obviously not being said in the same breath as Han Solo, Darth Maul, Rey, Chewbacca, R2D2. Like, he's not there, but he might be in that Thrawn bubble, that if you dig just a little bit deeper, you start to become aware of him. And I feel like you can do something with that character, with that name, with that design that is reminiscent and perhaps, remixes and reboots his story from the game, that pays tribute to it while also not being beholden to it, much in the same way that they've done with Thrawn over the years. So I think it's more likely than not, but also not a guarantee that this character eventually makes his way into something else, something more prominent and more canonical than a very heartfelt Lego special.
Yeah, and like just like with Thrawn, there has to be an adaptation. I don't think it can be 1-to-1. I don't think they're going to go, well, let's just do the plot of Knights of the Old Republic in a TV show, which is literally has been rumored. Like, that's been out there for a while.
But you couldn't really do that, because Knights of the Old Republic, part of why it works so well is because it's designed to be a video game.
Yeah.
Spoilers for a game from 20 plus years ago, your character, who you think is an original character throughout the game, is then revealed at the end of the game to be Revan. You can't really do that in a show. You can have like this person doesn't know who they are, Born Identity kind of plot line. But I feel like audiences have become wise to those plot lines, and I feel like a better, more true adaptation of Revan would be to take like key parts of his story that are outside of the game and adapt them. He's sort of a legendary Jedi Knight. You can have him fall to the dark side. You can have him go evil and come back. You can have him sort of be aware that something bigger and darker is happening out in the galaxy. Like, there's pieces of that you can take and adapt really well and really interestingly, that doesn't try to recreate the video game's plot, because I don't know if you can recreate that. I mean, The Last of Us maybe would argue that you can, faithfully adapt a game into a show, but there's something that's really unique about Knights of the Old Republic and the way it portrays that twist, and it uses the fact that it is a video game and you are controlling the character to double gut punch you with that surprise.
And that's the nature of an RPG, and instead of like a Last of Us or an Uncharted or a Star Wars Outlaws or Cal Kestis, all those games, like you're it's playing a character with a deep story versus kind of playing as yourself and kind of putting yourself into that things, which is why like everyone's envisioning everyone to play Revan, and everyone's pointing out like this character hasn't been nailed down, so they literally could be anybody. And that's an interesting prospect of just like, who could you actually cast? Everyone's thinking it's just going to be Keanu Reeves, and that very well could be the case. Apparently they wanted him acolyte, so who knows? But like, I would hope for more inspired casting. Not that I have anything against Keanu Reeves, but like,
Keanu needs to be in Star Wars, and it's something, but maybe not.
I mean, I am 100% on that train. Like, fine. But is Revan the character? Maybe. I mean, I'm not opposed to that necessarily, but you have to flesh him out. You have to flesh out that character. You have to start from the beginning and go like, this is a character that's going to, you're not going to hire an actor unless, I mean, you can do that. They just don't do it. You can just hire a person with a mask on and get a voice actor to voice over and have it be compelling. It can work. The Mandalorian works like that, but But I think more often than not, you want to see some people's face. There's a reason. There's a reason when people wear masks in TV shows, it's usually perfectly clear in the front, and there's lights pointed at their face so that you can see the person act, because it's not fair to the actor, and also you don't connect with it. You don't have a personal connection.
And think about Kylo Ren, who's a character that's very Revan-esque in his design.
Right.
Anytime there's a big important scene, that mask is coming off one way or another. It's getting broken, it's being taken off, whatever it is, you're getting Adam Driver's face in there. And Driver did a really good job of acting with the mask on for the scenes where he had the mask on, and conveyed, a lot of emotion and character through the way he wore that mask. But there's a reason why in all three movies, once it was time for the important Kylo Ren Ben Solo scenes, that helmet's coming right off, and you're letting Driver do his thing.
Yeah, and it's similarly to, like, they're filming Avengers Doomsday right as we speak, and Robert Downey Jr. is playing Victor Von Doom, and the key cornerstone of, like, Doctor Doom's character is he wears a mask. But guess what? He's not going to be wearing that mask that much, because you don't hire Robert Downey Jr. and pay him a flipping huge ton of dump truck full of money to come back and wear a mask and never see his face. Like, that's not how that works. And I'm sure the same is going to be said for, like, when they cast Revan, it's probably going to be a pretty big name, and they're going to want to give some humanity to that character and let them act, let them play that story out. And it won't be us living vicariously through this character. This is a character beyond ourselves that is having their story. And yes, there probably will be, just like with Thrawn, there's shades of the original story in there, but the circumstances are different. And it has to be, because I think adaptations can work, but they don't always. And I think there's an argument to be made of, well, why don't they just do Knights of the Old Republic? Well, we've all played that game. Why do you want to see the same story again? Why not do something different? Do something unexpected?
Yeah. What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Harry Potter, where we're just remaking the same?
Yeah,
shit,
just
same,
doing it
same
exactly
show.
the same, with the same actors and the same story and everything.
Same costumes, same sets.
What's
Damn
the
it.
point?
It's the fun J.K. Rowling's transphobia, but that's
separate. fun.
That's a separate conversation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that, but so it's gonna be interesting. I'm sure these discussions are being had, Lucasfilm, maybe right now. I'm sure there's a reason why this hasn't happened yet, because they're like, how do we do this without making everyone angry at us? Because Knights of the Republic has a very passionate fan base, and you want to do it right. I don't want to piss off those guys either, but you have to have some realistic expectations about this whole thing, and about when Knights of the Republic, or whatever it is, whenever Revan and Satele Shan and all those characters show up on screen, it's not gonna be exactly the same.
Yeah, but it will happen. It's going to happen eventually. Like this is one of those things that it's a little surprising it hasn't already happened, but it's not going to stay on the shelf forever. It's very much in play. And I think the fact that if you go on StarWars.com/eras, the Old Republic has an era listed. It lists all the eras for all the stories. There's the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, New Republic, Rise of the First Order, and it shows all the projects in there. And then there's eras for stuff that's been announced, but we haven't really seen anything there, like Dawn of the Jedi and New Jedi Order and things like that. Old Republic has an entry here. It has no stories. They don't put the game in there because the game is set in the Legends continuity, but it's there as an acknowledged part of the story. I think it's now just a matter of time. When they do it is the question. I suspect it will be after they do all this new Rey trilogy stuff. Once we get past Starfighter and New Jedi Order and the Kinberg trilogy, then I think much in the same way that they filled out the New Republic era in the gaps between trilogies this time around, between the sequel and I guess the sequel trilogy, or the Kinberg trilogy, or whatever you want to call that one. in that time, they really filled out the New Republic era with Mando and Book of Boba, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and eventually at least 2 movies. They will do that post Kinberg trilogy before the Filoni trilogy, the inevitable Filoni trilogy of episodes.
It's coming.
Kinberg is 10, 11, 12. I guess Dave gets to be 13, 14, 15.
Don't tempt him. Don't tempt him. I think they also want to, because James Mangold has been pretty honest and open about the fact that he picked Dawn of the Jedi. He wanted to do that movie in that time period because there's nothing established, that it's completely open territory to just kind of make a story and not feel, chained down by the Skywalker saga and all this kind of stuff. And I think that would be ultimately the way you would do it, is like establish how the Jedi came to be and then jump forward a few thousand years and then tell, okay, here's Knights of the Old Republic. Here's the kind of the middle bit of, here's all the stuff that happened, Jedi, Sith wars, all that kind of stuff. There's so much stuff in the lore that's crazy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Old Republic right now, it's listed as one era. I feel like it'll eventually be broken down into different eras. Like if we look at like the way Legends did things, it was like the Old Republic and then prequel era. Like that was how they did their distinction. Already the canon has made a distinction of the High Republic from the Old Republic. The High Republic being 350 years until the Phantom Menace. Like that era is separate from the Old Republic, which is separate from Dawn of the Jedi. So if we're still doing this show, Ben, in 30 years, which there is every possibility that we might be, we may well be talking about the Old Republic as like a whole bunch of sub eras with different trilogies and TV series and standalone movies and a bajillion books and comics and games, all fleshing out the time between the, again, High Republic, about 300 some odd years before Phantom Menace, and Mangold's movie, which is supposed to be 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga. That is a lot of time to call all of that one era and then like break up like the prequel era, the original trilogy era, the dark times, like which all last like 20, 30 years, to then call that all one era and then have several sub eras that just cover 10 years, or full eras that cover 10, 20 years, makes very little sense. And I don't think that's how they'll do things. Again, if we envision a world 30 some odd years from now where we're not all dead from some horrific disaster that is inevitably coming.
Let's not think about that. I think they've made some smart moves up. I think the High Republic is, to me, a huge success. I think in form of storytelling, of just like, let's block off this period of time and let's tell stories and this, and let's do it. Have a plan and do it, and let's not encroach on it with anything else. The Acolyte was the only thing that really came in and kind of established things, but it was just kind of playing with kind of the leftover pieces and kind of dealing with the end of that era versus and a few of the characters. I like that. I hope they continue to do things like that and do stuff with, do a video game set at the end of the Knights of the Old Republic era, and then do books that are set at the beginning of it, and do some TV shows in the middle and let them play off of each other. But I think Lucasfilm, admittedly, they need to do a better job with continuity sometimes. There is some stuff that, like, you guys said this was all canon. You need to actually go by that, because there's some pretty egregious things in there that should not have happened. But that I digress. That's another story.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's an interesting discussion going on in the chat about how popular Knights of the Old Republic and Darth Revan would be, and I'm gonna side with the folks that think it would sell, that Revan and KOTOR would sell, because I think those games, I think it's important to not underestimate how popular they were. And how influential they were on people. Those games were massive, and the recognition that it's different than saying, oh, we need to bring in the main character from, let's say, Masters of the Terrascasi or something, like something. I don't even know. Is there a main character to that game? I genuinely don't know. The Revan and those games were huge in the early mid 2000s, and I think there remains a legacy and a love for those characters that if they announce that they announced next week Revan, a Star Wars story, and it's the first part of a trilogy, it's a movie with Keanu or anybody else playing the character, I think that would be huge. And you still have to sell it the same way you still have to sell every movie and every show, but I think that would get a lot of buzz. There would be a lot of excitement for something like that, much in the same way that there was a lot of excitement for Thrawn. That excitement is within our insular community of folks who listen to a show like this or go to events like Star Wars Celebration or watch the live streams of Celebration, things like that. But so that means they still have to sell it outside of that, but it would be a big deal. It would absolutely be a big deal. And those games were massive. They were huge, and it's important. It's the same, honestly, like if we think about like key moments in the expanded universe, it's like Thrawn trilogy was like the first big turning point, like the first big like moment of people being excited about the non-movie material. Kind of think Knights of the Old Republic is like on the same level of that, if it as kind of like the second big event and big moment of the old EU. It's like those are the two sort of moments that almost or did break through a little bit. And so even people who don't follow this stuff and couldn't tell you what's going on with the Old Republic or couldn't tell you what happened in Fate of the Jedi, they have some awareness of who Thrawn and Revan are.
Oh yeah, and I don't know, I almost equate it to like how Marvel Comics developed, of just like you had these massive characters. They were kind of flying under the radar because they were comic book characters and everyone reads comics, but they were huge for their time. Like Captain America, Iron Man, all this like stuff that's going back to the 40s, all into the 60s and 70s, huge things, and they kind of go away. And then there's a fan base there, but it's not in the mainstream. And then the MCU comes along and like, okay, we're going to take these characters and we're going to change them. We're going to make sweeping changes to their characters and change who they are to make them fit into our universe. But in the process of that still proves that like the staying power and popularity of those characters only got bigger, only became huge, possibly some of the most iconic characters in all of fiction, in all of sci-fi, in all of pop culture. So I think that's kind of the thing we had to look forward to with this, of just like taking obscure things, quote unquote obscure, even though I think, a lot of video games are very mainstream now and people have a lot of affection for them, even older stuff.
And KOTOR, again, like there are some video games that become mainstream, and KOTOR was one of them.
Yeah. It's huge.
And this is the thing. The reason you pick a character like that, like Revan or even Thrawn, or any of the characters from the old expanded universe, or any of those Marvel characters that you're talking about, Ben, or any of the DC characters that you could pull from as well,
right,
is not because you expect them to be instantaneously successful, right? You don't just go, hey, here is character, give us money. Like, that's not how that works. You still have to sell it. And someone who, I will give a lot of credit to for this, J.J. Abrams said when he was making The Force Awakens, it's not enough just to put the Millennium Falcon in something. You have to actually do something interesting with it. And The Force Awakens, I think he did.
Yeah.
And if you want proof of what JJ is saying there, go look at the response to Solo. Like there's a lot like that. That was an attempt, I think, on their part to go, here is character, give us money. And audiences went, no, and that's with Han Solo, right? So it's not enough just to do that. You have to do something interesting with it. But the point of doing an adaptation of a somewhere between semi-mainstream and obscure character is that the fans of those characters will talk about it and they will help hype it up and they will be excited and they will share the trailers and the posters and they will talk about it to their friends and say why they're excited about it. They will bring their friends with them to the movie theaters or bug them until they watch it on Disney Plus. That is the point of it, because it's part of the scheme to get people to watch it. It's part of the marketing. It's an element of the word of mouth conversation. And so you put Revan in a show, you don't just sit back and go, job done, put Revan in here. We await our check for $1 billion. Yeah, that's not happening. But you put Revan in the show and everybody who played KOTOR or everyone who has kind of even a vague memory of KOTOR is like, hey, I kind of remember that. Let me check this trailer out. Oh, This movie looks good. They made a good movie. Because that's the thing. You also got to make a good movie. Again, that goes back to JJ's point. You can't just put the Falcon in a movie and go, there you go, give me money. You have to make a good movie with the Falcon. You got to make a good movie with Revan. Got to make a good movie with Thrawn. And then people will show up. But to get people to just put their eyeballs there in the first place, there is an added benefit to using a character that some people know about because they will help shout from the rooftops. My favorite character from the expanded universe, of which Revan is that for many, many people.
Yeah.
They will help get people to sit down in the first place to see the trailer, and then hopefully the trailer will be good enough to convince them to go see the movie, which will then hopefully be good enough for them to tell all their friends to also go see the movie.
Yeah, and the thing is that you're simultaneously preaching to the choir in regards to the people that love this stuff, and also people that have never heard of Revan before, that don't know anything about this character, trying to pull them in and pulling on like, what about this character and what about the Knights of the Old Republic did in general? What was special about it? What did it do with Star Wars that was so appetizing to people back in the day, and what hit home with them? And then try to do that again, capture lightning in a bottle again. And it happens every single day in Hollywood. They try to do it, and a lot of times they fall flat on their face, but they're still not going to keep from trying. And just the general of just like capturing the awe of that character and go like, okay, now we have to get a whole new audience that has no idea, because Knights of the Old Republic fans are not going to make even a fraction of that $1 billion that they want to make. It's not going to happen. It's going to take people showing up that are like, ooh, Star Wars, guy in a mask. That looks cool. He's got a red and a purple blade. That's interesting.
Yeah. The quality, at the end of the day, the success of something usually, not always, but usually is tied to its quality. And so if you make a good thing, and look, there have been lots of good things that have been made that have been unsuccessful. There are lots of bad things that have been made that have been successful. But the theory is you make something good and people will show up. It's just about getting people in the door in the first place. That's why I think Revan could be an asset. Not the whole package, but definitely an asset. All right.
So Lego Revan, guys, he's here. That's what got that all started.
Exactly. He's here. All right, let's get into the Ask the SWU questions. So these are the questions folks can submit them ahead of time. You can submit them during the show by super chatting. Submit them ahead of time in the Discord, that is. And we'll start with this one that's pertinent to what we've been discussing. This comes from Ingenious Ben. When, if not, when not if will Ben assemble the 9,023 piece Lego Death Star that was announced today? When, Ben? When are you going to assemble it?
Well, first of all, I have to give a shout out to Ingenious, because I didn't even know this had happened. Because obviously had been floating around for a while, so I just saw pictures. I'm like, oh, they actually announced it today. And Genius was like, they announced it, and screaming on the Discord. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go actually start talking about this. And look, if someone wants to contribute, look, I have a GoFundMe, Ben's Death Star Fund. Go things. No, good Lord, no. But if someone wants to buy me one for Christmas, I mean, I'm all for it. I'll build it. I'll build it on string. I'll build it right here. I'll build it up to the point where you won't be able to see me anymore.
Ben, do you remember there was a moment in time where you, me, and Hannah all had the same Lego set, and we were gonna do a live stream where we raced to see who could build it first?
What Lego set was that?
I can't even remember which one it was, but
was it the T6 shuttle?
That sounds right.
I
It's
have it
from
right
Ahsoka, yeah. I
think
that idea fell apart quickly, much like a Lego set if you drop it. But do you think if we got like an angel investor to give us, let's say, $5,000, could we do that where we just go live for like 24 hours while we all build these things on the stream and just see what happens?
I mean, that's hey, look, I love this hypothetical world you've created where there's just somebody out there with plenty of money that wants to give us money to buy Legos and build them on stream. Hey, I'm all for it. Hey,
yeah,
give us money.
Yeah. There we go. It's a good idea. Next one comes from Wolf Dog. Wolf Dog asks, if you were to create your perfect Jedi with only one aspect from a Jedi allowed, what would it be? So this is sort of like you could take something from a different Jedi, like one thing from a bunch of different Jedi to create a singular character. What would you do? Like, would you be like, I want Luke Skywalker's his heart and Obi-Wan Kenobi's brain and Mace Windu's feet? Like, is that like we're gonna put a whole character together that way? I want Ki-Adi-Mundi's legs.
I've always liked Ki-Adi-Mundi's legs.
And
always had my
torso.
eyes on him. You wouldn't pick his head? You're going for his legs, not his head. Come on, the guy's got like 5 brains up there. You gotta pick his legs. No, don't want the head. I want the legs. Normal ass legs. Let's get the legs.
Okay. So Ki-Adi-Mundi's head. Plo Koon's mask, obviously.
Yeah, naturally. Cool as hell.
It's got the most dramatic chest. Okay, Power of the Force buff Luke chest.
There you go. Yeah. Now you're cooking.
Oppo Rancis's lower body.
Yeah. So
and
Snake Man.
Yeah, and Yariel Poof's neck.
I'm just imagining
Ki-Adi's head with Plo Koon's mask
that body
and Yariel Poof's
good lord
neck, buff Power of the Force Luke.
And to top it off, let me add the final piece. Final piece of this. Pong Krell's arms.
Pong Krell's arms. There we go.
That's a monstrosity. Just think about that. Kajira, do a thing. No. Don't waste your time with that monstrosity. Please don't, Kajira. Somebody can, though. I don't care. I'd love to see it.
And even Peel's ears.
I hope you're happy with that, Wolf Dog. Good lord.
There you go.
Mutant Jedi.
There you go. Yeah. Somebody
wants
to draw
it's literally like that character that Amelia Clark plays in Secret Invasion. Like he just has all of the stuff.
Just a little bit of everything.
All the Jedi powers, all the Jedi limbs.
Yeah. There we go. Figured it out. There's your answer. All right. Super chat from Joel Davis, who says, okay, just going to ask the two hosts, are you reading the Legacy of Vader comic? It's adding so much context to the sequels. It is essential reading. IMO, in my opinion. Ben, you're reading Legacy of Vader?
I haven't. Look, I'll tell you what my comics reading is. Mm-hmm. I picked this up, Star Wars Age of Resistance.
Yeah.
For cheap at a discount bookstore. This is like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I bought it because I'm like, I want to read that, and like it's the whole thing. It's like an omnibus thing. So I'm like, I'm very excited. I haven't read it yet. Okay, I've had it for like a year. I haven't read it yet. So that's literally the most recent comic that I have, and I have not read it. So there's my comic report.
I still need to read the last couple of High Republic comics, which was the only part of the only comics that I've been keeping up with. So I'm kind of the comics is just one area of stories that I, for whatever reason, I don't really keep up with. I've always been much more engaged with the novels. That's been more where I put my interest. Partially just because the monthly drops of comics, like I can't really remember what happens between issues. That's been a problem with me. So
Yeah.
I don't really keep up with them that way. This is one that is interesting to me. I would like to get to it eventually, but I don't think that's imminent.
I mean, I will say to Joel's question, like I've seen some images, I've heard some things. It sounds really cool. I think the only downside to it is like I would have really have loved to see something like that, like done in live action, like like something like that. Like I think the Rise of Skywalker kind of goes that direction of, well, you're on Mustafar, you don't see Vader's castle for some reason, but you're there, and like this whole idea of him kind of following and more directly addressing his lineage and his obsession with his grandfather, I think is really cool. So I'm glad to hear that people are enjoying it.
Yeah. That's the thing. All right. Next question. Thank you for that question, Joel. Next one comes from Gilster10. Gilster10 writes, this is mainly for those who saw the Tartakovsky Clone Wars series and Revenge of the Sith when they first came out. We all know that Revenge of the Sith was still in production when General Grievous debuted in the 2D series, and there was little communication between the production teams. With that in mind, how did you react when you first heard Matthew Wood's Russian vampiric-like voice for General Grievous compared to the more Darth Vader-like voice in the animated show? Personally, I grew to like it more over time because of its uniqueness and even a bit of its corniness. I always felt the 2003 series made Grievous sound a little too close to Vader. What do you think? Also, it throws in, loves that the casting of Simon Bird in Starfighters because he's a fan of the In-Betweeners. I will say I've never seen the In-Betweeners, but the one person that I know that was in that show was Greg Davis, aka the Taskmaster, and if they want to bring him into Star Wars, I will accept that as well. Ben, do you remember seeing the Tartakovsky series in the lead up to Revenge of the Sith?
I'm trying to actually think of when I saw the because like I don't remember watching. I never saw them on TV. I never watched them when they were actually on TV. I think I probably watched them on YouTube, probably was for the first time, probably because they were on YouTube for years before they got added to Disney Plus. You gotta watch the whole thing. So I remember avidly watching them, and I wasn't, during the prequels, I was very young. I wasn't online much. I wasn't watching a lot of TV. So like I don't remember what that timeline was. I do remember just kind of like those early years of Star Wars fandom, of being online after the prequels. And, people still to this day are just like, yeah, the Tartakovsky Grievous is so much better than the things. And I think the voice definitely isn't better, in my opinion. I mean, it's just kind of standard gruff villain. I don't even know who the voice actor is for that thing, but it's fine. But it's definitely like Tartakovsky's kind of off the chain with that version of that character, like barely taking it. It's painfully clear, for good and ill, of just like, this character was meant to be just monstrous character, and then George was like, no, we're not doing that. He's not supposed to outshine Vader. John DiMaggio, thank you. It's a Trap 101 in the chat. Who is a great voice actor, legendary. So yeah, I think obviously can't help but love Matthew Wood and what he did with it, and turning that, and just his whole audition story is just crazy, and I love hearing that. But I like the Grievous that we got. I think he has been misused at times, especially during the Clone Wars. I think they could treat him a little bit better, but I think the general kind of essence of the character and what George was trying to do with him, and just basically just be a one-note villain, just kind of an in-between villain between Dooku and Vader, in Revenge of the Sith, like in a part of a Star Wars movie, it works fine. Obviously, I would love to see I mean, how great would it be a Tales of the Kalish or something, like a show about Grievous. I'm sure Dan Grievous is in the chat. He would probably keel over from that. Probably kill him. Yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah. I remember having the DVDs for the micro series.
Yeah.
And I must have had them before. I certainly had the volume 1 DVD before the movie came out. Certainly had that. I can't remember the timeline for volume 2 because I do remember watching like all the special features and stuff. And it may have been in the volume 2 one. It may have been in the volume 1 one. But at some point they sort of were joking like they wanted to show the movie. They wanted to like have their cartoon shown right before the movie so that you would go right from the end of Clone Wars into Revenge of the Sith, because it's pretty much what happens. And I do remember my brother, again, he's getting a lot of airtime on this episode. I remember him being quite young at the time, thinking that was literally going to happen, and like telling people that they're going to show the end of Clone Wars in the theaters before Revenge of the Sith, and I tried to explain to him that no, that's not going to happen. That's just them joking. But I honestly don't have any recollection of noticing the difference in Grievous's voice. Obviously, when I watch it now, it's like two completely different performances. But at the time, again, I was 10 when Revenge of the Sith came out. I don't think I barely noticed that Obi-Wan and Anakin sounded a little bit different. I wasn't aware that they had different people playing those characters. Now you watch it and you very clearly hear James Arnold Taylor's Obi-Wan, very, very different. Not very different, but really, it's close enough to Ewan's, but you can know the difference. It's right when it's James and when it's Ewan. The dude who plays Anakin is trying to do a Hayden impression, but it's very different. It does not sound anything like him, and they obviously went in a completely different direction with Matt Lanter later on. So I will leave that. But like at the time, I didn't notice that stuff, and I certainly didn't notice it with Grievous.
Yeah, and like you have to also think of like, I think we're very accustomed now to these intense continuities and these all cinematic universes and everything's connected and things, and like it used to be that like people would just shamelessly make a cartoon about a big franchise and it wouldn't really have any bearing on the franchise itself or really try to be. And the voices would be different or whatever else, and things like there's a famous story about the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, I think it was, and like one of the actors from the movie auditioned to be in the show, and they're like, no, you don't sound enough like the character, you can't be the character. And I was like, what is this? Like it's lunacy. So like I think it's a different perspective now, and I think Clone Wars itself, very stylized. It's obviously like not meant to be canon because it's just so wacky. I think that's why it's great. It's because it's not trying to be fit within the confines of Star Wars canon. It's just a fun, it's like proto Star Wars Visions in the sense that it's just, it's its own thing. So I think that's what's great about it.
Yeah, I agree. Good question, Gilster. Next one comes from Vlad Sander. Vlad Sander says, "Hello, can you hear me?" Says radio static in italics, so I'm trying to vocalize that. Vlad, I don't know how well I did. Hey, Vlad has returned with a question/pundry for y'all. With the announcement of Star Wars Starfighter, you have been contacted to design a new ship for the Star Wars universe. What kind of ship is it? What are its specs? And who is the pilot?
Oh, damn.
Ben, what kind of ship are you making?
Oh, God. Just like a bathtub with a bowl over it. Just a bathtub flying through space. I think that's your ship.
Yep. I think I go full Lego Movie and just double-decker couch.
Yeah.
Double-decker couch. I don't know how to design a spaceship. I don't know. I want the W wing. I want it to be shaped like a W.
I need to,
somehow.
you know what I would actually do is, I don't have it on me, but I've always been fascinated. You get the Millennium Falcon owner's manual, and it goes through all the different configurations the YT-1300 can go through. And like any of those, great. Like they're so cool because I love just like the mythology around that design, and just the fact that it could be like, oh, it could be like the cockpit can be in the middle, or there could be two cockpits on either side, or the cockpit can be in the back and it's got wings and it's things, and they take off the mandibles. It's just a flying saucer. It's like yeah, do that. Like that's why I love the Outrider, because it's like, what if the Millennium Falcon was just different? What if it was just like a weird thing and it had this thing jutting out the side? Like, it's great.
I like when you see the early designs for Star Wars, and the design that eventually became the Tantive 4 is the Millennium Falcon.
Exactly.
And I like to imagine the movie with that, because it's just weird and different and doesn't like compute properly in my brain, but it's fun.
It is interesting to think about, because Starfighter will be the 50th anniversary movie. I'm not saying that it'll specifically be riffing on that, but it will be the movie that's released 50 years almost to the day of A New Hope, releasing in 1977. So they love to take the stuff that Ralph McCoy threw out and make it into new stuff. And there's a lot of other talented designers besides that. And like, you take that original design of the Tantive 4, and there's even concept art of like it in the hangar as the Millennium Falcon would be. Very cool. There's some YouTube channels that go into detail on some kind of far off designs, like in the background. They like actually detail them up and make them look like presentable. Some very, I don't know, be curious to see if they manage to bring something kind of more obscure, some maybe an original concept to be like, oh yeah, this is Ryan Gosling's ship. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a nod to the original movie.
I am excited to see like new ship designs in this movie. I think that's something that's kind of a must for this picture. The redesigned X-Wing in the sequels and the redesigned TIE fighters, like they're sleek and they're kind of cool in that regard, but I'm ready for like a proper new design of a ship. In the same way, I want to go like from the X-Wing to the N1 Starfighter, like that level of difference. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm hoping that this story, kind of being set outside of our usual conception of what the saga is and the timeline and all that stuff, might open the door for some more interesting and unique designs. And I'd like to see someone like Russell Chong from the Clone Wars get in there and get a chance at designing stuff instead of, look, I love the crew that have been working on Star Wars for a long time. There are some great people that are still working on Star Wars who were there in the prequel era, like Doug Chang and Eric Tymans and people like that. Right. But I don't know. It's time to bring in some fresh blood. Time to revamp things a little bit, because we're sticking a little too close to just the stuff we've seen before. And that's why, like, I know everyone was really excited when Mando got his N1 Starfighter. I've never, you took what was cool about that ship and you stripped it away. And then, and also that episode, as soon as he arrives on Tatooine and they start shipbuilding, I want to turn it off. It's so boring. It's so boring. But anyways, that's beside the point. I don't know. It didn't, I don't want to be nostalgia too. I want to see, like, I want to do what George did, the same way he was like, no, we're not just going to do the X-Wing again. We're going to do something new, and we're going to create this N1 and create something new and iconic. I want someone to do that with this new era of Star Wars movies. And we really haven't had anything like that. Like the Onyx Cinder kind of could be that in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
It's kind of a new Millennium Falcon, and it's got its tricks, and it's kind of different in that. But even that doesn't quite have it. The Razor Crest was moving in that direction, then they blew it up and brought back the N1. Slave One is Slave One. It's always going to be cool, but it's an old thing you're bringing back. What are the other ships? Like, what are like X-Wings, TIE fighters? The Ghost is just another version of the Millennium Falcon. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Good, like, riff on the Falcon, but it's just that. So I'm really hoping with a movie called Starfighter, I want a unique Starfighter design for this show, for this movie.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I love the B-Wing, and by default, I love the Twilight from the Clone Wars, is that it's just such a radical departure from anything else that's happened before or since. And just like the whole idea of kind of like, this doesn't make any sense. It just looks cool. It's just this crazy design. And, you know, I don't want to, crap on, I know there's been a lot of great designs. Like I love the Razor Crest. I love a lot of things. I like some of the redesigns, like, cause like even though, yes, basically the Force Awakens and all like redesigned the X-Wing and the TIE fighter, like the T-75 X-Wing is a pretty cool design. I actually really like that. I would have preferred they just do something different, but like, the split wings, everything like that. There's a lot of cool design details that I'm like, okay, that's cool. But you're right. They seem to be, I think, I can't imagine the pressure they are under.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard, man, to come in and say, we're going to start doing new stuff. Weirdly, I think some of the best stuff has happened kind of like, I think Rogue One, I think the U-Wing is a classic.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
Stand out ship. And then they blew them all up, and it's in a prequel, and we don't see any of them anymore. And like, what the hell happened to them? And then Rebels, there's a lot of great ships. I just hope they go crazy.
Yeah.
Go do something radically different.
You need a visionary. Go ahead. Finish.
No. All I was going to add was like, that's what the prequels did. Like, George was clearly like, the Phantom. We're not seeing anything even remotely like the original movies in this movie. Like the scimitar, like Darth Maul's ship, like that was the closest we're going to get to like, the little wings. But even that was like, what if it's a TIE fighter, but it's really long? Like, it's crazy long. So like, I like that engineering, but then also keeping it very simple. I'd love to hear Doug Chiang talk about like, okay, you need to in 3 seconds get what this thing is. You can't be super over designed. I think there's a lot of ships in other sci-fi franchises. They're like, I don't know about that. It's very over designed, and just
sometimes
it's cool, but it's too cool.
Yeah, sometimes you see the stuff in the Star Wars comics, and you're like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, that's a almost extreme overconfidence. Like, I want you to be confident, but maybe not that confident. Let me bring it back a little bit.
So this is where you need a visionary like George, someone who's like, no, we are just going to do something new and different and its own thing, and I'm not going to let you rely on the nostalgic beats of just redesigning an X-Wing or redesigning a TIE fighter. I'm going to do something very different. They did kind of tease one of the ships from Starfighter at Star Wars Celebration Japan. So I don't believe the Starfighter Mando Grogu panel was live streamed at all. So I don't think people saw this. But when they brought out Sean Levy and then Ryan Gosling, they had on stage those big like Imperial doors that opened up and they would walk through. And when the doors would open up behind them, before the backstage area, before like the curtains that closed off the stage area from the backstage area, you could see like part of a ship there. And Levy and Gosling and Kathy and Dave all kind of teased that like, there's something pretty interesting back there, but we're not going to show it to you. And so like if you were there, if you were at Celebration, you were either in the Celebration stage or like I was in one of the satellite rooms, you got a little tiny glimpse of something. But what that something is, we still don't quite know. And even in the picture that they dropped last week, that looks like a land speeder that they're hanging out on.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what we got there. Good question, Vlad. Good question.
Yeah, great.
Next question. We'll go to this one from Kajira. This one says, to Hannah and Dom, how was Star Wars Celebration Japan from y'all's POV? So bummed that I couldn't find the two of you. Did y'all's do some traveling outside of the event? Well, obviously I can't speak for Hannah's experience beyond the time we spent together, which was a definite highlight of the show. Celebration itself, as always, was like a wonderful, magical experience. And there was most certainly an energy in the Makahuri Mesa or whatever that place was called there, of like real excitement that it was there, because most people are not insane like me and travel to all of these things all around the world for whatever reason. You don't want to travel that far, don't want to go that far, but the local fan base was really like excited to have this there. And that's why I do think Celebration needs to be a traveling event. It can't just get locked down in California or Florida. It needs to go not just all over the US, but all over the world. Because there was a real vibe of just excitement and happy to be there that you do always get, but like it's always a 10. And I felt like the Japanese fans, because it had been so long since there had been a Celebration Japan, and so it was so far away. Like, the closest ones were probably the ones in Anaheim, and that's not close for folks on that side of the world. Like there was a real feeling of like, wow, we get to be here. We get to celebrate it. We get to enjoy this in a way that it was more pronounced than it was in Anaheim, Orlando, Chicago, even London. There's just something more pronounced about it. So like that was really magical and really, really fun. And we've gone over what the panels were and all sorts of all the reveals and that sort of thing. I'll share this. This is a story. I may have told this. Ben, if I've told this story, stop me.
Okay.
I didn't have any sort of panel reservation for the Mandalorian and Grogu panel, which was the panel I really wanted to see that weekend. Because me, I love Star Wars movies. There's a new Star Wars movie. I want to see the preview for it, but I wasn't able to get any reservation for it. And I was, I wanted to just see it. It didn't have to be in the Celebration stage. It could be in one of the streaming rooms. And so my plan had been to get up very, 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 very early, and go line up early and hope that there was an empty seat at the back that I could sit in. And the night before Celebration, Hannah and I were having dinner with Tilly, and we're just, shooting the breeze and talking Star Wars, talking life, having a grand old time. And we ran into another friend of the show who very kindly gave me his pass to get into the Mando Grogu panel on the Twin Sun stage. So in one of the streaming rooms, because he was getting to go, he had gotten some special access to the to the Celebration stage. So he didn't need his reservation. So he transferred it to me, which was very, very kind. You're not supposed to do that, which is why I'm not saying who this was, even though I don't think they would get in trouble, but I don't want to I just very slightly, if anyone is going to get in trouble, I'll let it be me. And so that completely rejigged my thinking of, I don't have to get up early at all. I can just show up in time for this panel, forgetting that a big part of the experience for Star Wars Celebration is the line. So I got to Celebration, I'm thinking, I'm there half hour early. This is great. I'll be right there. And then I saw one of the biggest lines I've ever seen in my life. And I said to one of the English speaking volunteers, so I've got a panel reservation for the Twin Suns stage. And he goes, get in that line. And he points at the big one. Because it was the line to just get in. And at a certain point, it split off into the celebration. So I got in this line, and look, this line, all things considered, moved pretty quickly. And if you're smart about moving through a line, you can maneuver yourself through it where you're not cutting, but you're filling all available space. You know, that's what they always say, is fill all available space. So you see a little space up there, you go up there and take that space.
You're moving just a little faster than everybody else.
You just, so I weaved through. It still took like all of that half hour to get through it. And then reached a point where it's like, and now security. So then you go through security. I'm like, now I will get to be split off to the twin stunt stage. Nope, more line. And again, moving through that slowly but surely. It's moving. I'm, taking all available space. Finally get to the point where the split off should be from going into the main hall versus Twin Sun stage versus Galaxy stage. And where that split off happened, it's now 5 minutes after when the panel was scheduled to start. But these things never start on time, so I'm not worried. I then realized that this point where the line split off is as far from the Twin Sun stage as you can possibly be while still remaining on the convention center's property. So it's still a whole bunch of space here. So there was only one thing to do. It's something you're generally told not to do at conventions. But again, if anyone's going to get in trouble, it's me. I started running. Started sprinting. I am not a fast runner, but we made good time, and start running. A few other people were running, including this guy from Germany who was running with me. We're running and we're going, and this German guy goes, "I don't think we are going to make it." And I'm like, "Come on, Klaus, we can get there. Come on, we're gonna get there." We push through, we get there, we get to like the entry point to the Twin Sun stage, and the woman who's like in charge of the stage, I hear her say, "Okay, I'm cutting it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, we're just gonna miss it." And then she sees me and this guy that I've just named Klaus, and she goes, "You guys go in."
Oh my God.
So we go in. And it's like halfway through the like supercut montage of all things Star Wars. And so we sit down, and like, of course, the next thing after the supercut ends is Filoni and Kathy take the stage.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, there we go. There's going to be more to this than just, Mando Grogu. And that's when this was announced.
I tell you, Star Wars Celebration, never a boring moment.
Never a boring moment. It was really, really nice. And yeah, the whole weekend was tremendous fun. I did go around Japan. If folks remember, earlier this year, I was absent for about 3 weeks worth of the show because I was there. I was there. I went to see what I did. I did Kyoto. I did Osaka. Went to Fukuoka, Hiroshima, and then Tokyo. And it was really, really lovely. Great country, great stuff to see. I hit a lot of the main touristy areas. I tried to hit some of the non-touristy areas. I did make it to a very, very small town where very few people spoke English, which was fine. It is, of course, not their language, so why would they speak it? But there was one musician in a cafe who then served as translator for me. It was great fun. And I actually, Ben, can you stall for me? Because I want to go get a prop real quick, and I'll have one more story. So stall for me give me a minute here to go grab this thing. Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's fine. I usually don't know what to say usually I have these things just planned out. I did a show by myself not that long ago. So it's not a big deal. I'll read some comments. Yeah, Dan Graves is like, the lines. Yeah. I remember I actually got a press badge for one. And then I just waited in the stupid long line like every time I went up. I felt really stupid anyway. They're like, you could have just gone in the press line, no big deal. But yeah, it is something. But like, and then like I remember in Anaheim, like at a certain point, the doors on the outside of the building will open, so you can go in and out like normal. But in the mornings, it's closed, and they leave them closed for a pretty long time. Because I was like, oh, I'm gonna be smart. I'm just gonna sneak in the doors, and they're like, nope, security. And those security guards, once they're told to do something like this door, nobody goes in and out this door, they take it very seriously. And then sometimes you'll come up with a security guard that's like, whatever, I don't care. Very, very funny. Very, can be nerve-wracking sometimes because sometimes they take it a little too seriously. But yeah, Dan, can't wait to see you too. I hope you can make it to LA. I know, I'm pretty sure we'll all be there. Pretty sure. I mean, if it's in my country, I really have no excuse. I didn't have much of an excuse for Japan, if I'm being honest. But yeah, would have loved to have gone. But it's literally on the other side of the world. So it was a bit of a hike. But yes, and he's back.
I'm back. You can stop stalling.
I'm done sounding like a moron.
Hey. And you never sound like a moron. Don't worry. So this last story, part of the fun, this is kind of one of those things that sort of, it's not unique to us, but it's something that's part of our experience that isn't experiences. We do this show, and it's really amazing that people all over the world listen to this show, and that's something that we're really appreciative of, and is really sort of humbling. But something, week to week, we do this separately, and we don't have like a live studio audience or anything, and so sometimes you're like, oh, you can kind of forget that that's there, because we'll just get caught up in a conversation about buying a $2,000 Lego set or whatever it is that we do here, and it just seems like we're just talking to ourselves, and that's why we love the live chat. That's why we love the Discord and stuff. But it is really nice to get that face-to-face interaction with people, and that's part of the reason, like, some of my personal favorite Star Wars Celebration memories over the years have been, having a booth at Celebrations, London, Chicago, and Orlando. The IHOP party remains like an unparalleled moment.
It's hard to beat that.
in my life, a friend of mine asked me after the one of my panels at Fan Expo this past weekend. She was like, "How does this compare to the IHOP show?" And I was like, "It was great, but nothing will ever top IHOP." So one of my absolute favorite moments from Celebration was very near the end of the show. It was quite literally as I was on my way to the closing ceremonies, which is the last panel of the show. I had tried to get into one of the stages to see it happen, but had sort of left it too long, and they had capped the stages. So when the stages are capped, you go to where the live show is done from. If you watch the live stream, you see there's a big standing room area where people can watch from. So we went over there. I was going to meet some of our friends who are over there, and I'm kind of moving quickly because the thing has started, and I want to get there, and I want to know where the next celebration is going to be. And someone taps me on the shoulder, and they say, "Hey, you do Star Wars Underworld, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they go, "Oh yeah, my friend really loves the show. They've been looking for you all weekend." And that's when Kazuki came up to me, a long time listener of the show. He says to me, "Oh, love the show. Listen from Japan every week." Wow. And I was really hoping to find you this weekend because I wanted to give you this. He then hands me this. I'm gonna see if I can hold this up in a way where you can actually see it. It is a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. baseball card, but it's the Japanese version. This is where the ring light is really messing with me. And you can see around the border, there's the flowers, cherry blossoms. That's how you can tell it's the Japanese version. Yeah. And obviously, a big Blue Jays fan, Vladdy is an icon for the Blue Jays right now. And he gave it to me in this really lovely, gorgeous, a proper case to protect it. But it was one of those, a lot of times you get part of the fun. One of the great things about Celebrations, people make their own swag and their own merch to give out, and that's a huge part of it. And it's a part that I don't know that much about, but oftentimes when we would have the booths, people would come up and be like, oh, I've got my swag here, I want to give you this, and we get like a pile of buttons and stickers and all this like glorious stuff. And so, when someone says, oh, I want to give you something, I'm like, I'm gonna get me a sweet button and a sticker, and it's gonna go on my laptop, it's gonna go on my bag, it's gonna be great. And then to have someone hand something that is like, obviously there are other people in the world that would appreciate a Japanese Vladimir Guerrero Jr. baseball card, but that was like, I don't know how many of those people were at Star Wars Celebration Japan.
Very niche. Very niche.
There definitely were some other ones. I know some other Toronto and Canadian people who went there who probably would have enjoyed this. But to have someone be like, no, I've got something for you specifically was pretty special. And so Kazuki, that was an absolute highlight of my weekend. And it was like right at the end of the show too. It was really like kind of the perfect button to put on the whole weekend.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, it still blows me away, because like as you were saying, like we do this in a bubble, like literally we all separately, we're all doing these things. And even like in the early years of the show, like we've always done this show live in a certain way or another, either audio or video. But like we didn't always have a huge audience. We didn't always have comments. Like if you're doing a podcast, unless somebody like goes out of your way to like make a comment, you're not hearing from them. And the majority of people on the internet, just in general, do not say anything. They're just observers. And like there's tons of podcasts that I listen to that I don't interact with them, even though I enjoy their shows very much. And it's the same way with this. So you usually, if you start a podcast, just know that like you will spend years of your life going like, is anybody listening to this? Is this anybody at all? Like, is this going out to anybody? And you see the numbers ticking up. You're like, well, there's somebody out there. And then you go like, it's like people literally all over the world are consuming this. And we're not near the biggest Star Wars podcast in the world by any means, but so appreciative of the audience that we have cultivated and everyone, and just the fact that this little old show has reached every corner of the world is just mind blowing.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Celebration, and why any Comic-Con in general, but especially Celebration. It's true at your local show and it's true at Celebration, but I think there's an extra element to Celebration, is the like community aspect of it. And I just mean that like you're surrounded by other people who all like Star Wars. That is something to be cherished and something to be celebrated, quite literally. The last night of the show, it ends, it's done, but we don't want it to be over yet, so we keep the party going a little bit. So myself and Chris Abbott were like, okay, let's go get something to eat. And naturally, you're in Japan. Where is the obvious hangout after a convention? Well, of course, it's the English pub down the street.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
We're gonna go there, and we go there, and it's closed for a private party.
Oh my gosh.
And we start joking to ourselves, oh, what if it's the Lucasfilm party? So we go to the restaurant next door, which hilariously was a Mexican restaurant. And we're sitting there, we're having dinner. The people at the table next to us were a bunch of Japanese locals who had gone to Celebration and were very kindly offering to help translate stuff for us. And, you could just, even though there was a language barrier there, you could feel the love and the excitement of Star Wars Celebration. And so we're at this restaurant, we're sitting by the front window, we're eating, and we are noticing a shocking number of Lucasfilm people walking by out front. I'm like, I think Rob Coleman just walked by. And there's Anthony Carboni. And there's several other people from Lucasfilm and ILM. And once the English pub had told us what time the private party would be over at, when it was over, we're like, all right, well, let's go over there now. And we step outside, and standing all in front of the place was all the Lucasfilm people that were there. Like the president of ILM was there. I saw the one person from Lucasfilm I know a little bit. And like, we went up to her. I'm like, for you guys, was this your guys' party? She goes, yeah. Okay, so our joke turned out to be true. So we go into the English pub and we're having a good time, and these two were talking Star Wars and laughing about how we should have crashed the Lucasfilm party. And these two guys walk up to us. They're like, we couldn't help but overhear your conversation about crashing the Lucasfilm party. Well, true story. We did crash the Lucasfilm party. We had no idea it was happening. We just walked into the place, and then suddenly we're wondering why we weren't being charged for our drinks. And then they had the same realization that we had, which is, hey, you look around, there's a bunch of Lucasfilm people. And so they went up and like confessed to Anthony Carboni. Naturally. And Carboni, of course, had the correct response, which is not only stay, enjoy more drinks. Here, let me come introduce you to the president of ILM. Let me go meet Rob Ridow. And then he made a social media video with these two guys that you can go and watch. It is hilarious. But like an hour after he posted that video, like there's me and Chris Abbott chatting with those guys, and like we created our own little, not a Lucasfilm party, but just like we got all the Star Wars people that were still around. We gathered us all together for a one last hurrah at Star Wars Celebration before we all went home the next day. So that pub also had been like a main hangout during the weekend, and they had, like, on the Friday night, the first night of Celebration, they had been showing like local sports as though it were just a regular Friday. And so they'd been showing the Chiba Lot Marines baseball game and stuff.
Nice.
And once the game was over, I think somebody realized, oh, it's all the Star Wars people here. So they put on the Phantom Menace.
Oh my God.
And when the pod race scene came on, it was like a live sporting event was happening in that place. People were reacting to it as though it were actually like a NASCAR race and cheering and going like it is wild. That's the celebration experience. Really amazing time. So yeah, there you go. There's a question for you. All right. I think that's, again, we have one more super chat, so we'll do the super chat, and then I think we'll have to leave it there because we'll save some more. There's more questions here from Matthew.
You guys loaded us up this week. I put out the call this morning, and you guys were like, "Say no more," and you flooded the question thing on Discord. So appreciate it. We'll get to them all eventually.
Yeah, we've got questions from two Matthews, from Dan Grievous, from Gilster's got another one. Dr. Hugh is in here, so we'll get to those. But we'll end with one final super chat from Joel Davis, who said, "Since we've been chatting about this in the chat, how would you adapt Revan? What lore from and story do you keep and what do you not keep? How do you streamline 2 games and an MMO game still ongoing into his storyline?" You don't. That's the thing, is like you take the character, you take some pieces from his backstory, you take the design. The design is kind of key with Revan. Much like Thrawn, you could have done another genius character, genius Imperial Admiral, but paint him blue, give him red eyes, and call him Thrawn. You'd have another, heroic Jedi who is tempted by the dark side and maybe falls to the dark side. Put him in the cape, give him that mask, call him Revan. Like that's what you're doing. Like you're taking elements, and it's been a long time since I've really engaged with Revan material, so I can't really tell you exactly how I would do it. But you're taking the name, you're taking the design. Those are the key things. And then you're picking and choosing what works for the story you want to tell. I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think, because and I'll only preface what I'm about to say by saying that I am not totally caught up with Revan's story still. Granted, I have bought Knights of the Republic, maybe both games, at least twice on 2 different platforms. I own the game. Haven't actually played it. I bought it for my Switch. I'm like, here, I'm going to actually play this. And then I realized it was a turn-based, and I'm like, I'm not sure this is for me. So I turned it off. I'm still gonna go back and I need to actually do it and go through it. But I was struggling with the controls. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure that's quite my style of gaming, but like I am familiar with some of it. So, I know the broad strokes of things, and I think you have to include some things. You have to try. It depends on is this completely wiping the slate clean? Is this doing a completely new story, but it's telling basically the same story? A la Thrawn. Thrawn is a replacement for Heir to the Empire. It's not but it's doing it in a different way with different characters surrounding him. I think Thrawn is the good way to do it in regards to it's the same enough that it kind of makes people happy. It's the same character, but it's different enough that there's not a one-to-one comparison. A la The Last of Us, a la freaking Harry Potter. Just at a certain point, it is different enough. And I think, and I'm sure they're having these discussions right now. Like, how do you come at that with this angle? How do you actually do this mechanically, to make this work and still keep the essence of the character there versus just making something completely new? Like you're saying, yes, it is a lot of just like kind of taking the design, taking the character and going things because the character is kind of a clean slate. He's an MMORPG character. He's a character that you're meant to project a lot of yourself onto. So he's not super, obviously there's a lot of books. There's the Revan book. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of lore in that. Don't expect that to be pulled over, but I'm sure I would hope somebody that knows more than I do about Revan would come on board and say, I know this character. Here's the lore. We're going to go this way though. We're going to respect that. We're going to keep it over here because I think you start messing with it and you start screwing with it. People get upset that you're changing things. It's like, no, just do something different, add to the story versus changing things. So I think finding that right balance of, keeping the essence of that character, keeping the memory wipe aspect of it. I think could be a really compelling way to do it. Do it in a different way, but do it so that, and it's something we haven't really explored in Star Wars before. I think that's an element that I would 100% keep and explore and play with, but not do it like the game.
There you go. Ben, the chat wants to know when you're going to live stream playing KOTOR.
I mean, I legit have a capture card. I just have to find the time.
Let's make it happen.
Maybe.
Let's make it happen, Captain. Let's do it. All right. What an episode. What a show. Woo! We covered a lot of ground for
so much.
Considering the news
slow news week.
Lego. We had some fun conversations, but that is where we are going to leave things for this week. Thank you everybody for listening. We will be back next week for whatever else is going to happen. Who knows? Maybe there'll be another Lego set that we can dissect. Wouldn't that be a fun one? The chat, Ben, Joel, and Dan in the chat both saying you got to do these Lego, KOTOR live streams. It's happening. You're gonna do it. I will make sure. I will find a way to
see you try. I'd like to see you try.
Well, Ben, thank you for co-hosting with me tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a good thing I showed up. Otherwise, you'd have been all on your own. Darn you, Hannah. You've been away all this time. You're so freaking amazing and talented. You got all this amazing things going on. Darn you for leaving us hanging and being all amazing. Gosh, that woman. No. Well, hopefully we'll get her back. We'll wrangle her back onto the show at some point in the near future. And apparently Chris is on Andor. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think they're on Andor. So that's an inside joke that none of you will understand. But I've seen the pictures. I know for sure. But
maybe next week.
But yes, so all I will add to this is that speaking of things I should be doing and other content wise, I actually have a schedule. I have a podcasting schedule. Oh. I have some dates and stuff for some things I'm doing later this month that don't involve this podcast. They're other podcasts. So, which is a big thing for me because I haven't really done anything podcasting outside this podcast in a very long time. So, very, very curious and very, very excited to get that. I will reveal more details soon.
I mean, you were kind of single-handedly keeping the show afloat for a bit there, so I will.
Somebody's got to do it.
Exactly. You can. I don't know. Do I have anything I want to plug? Substack. My computer got fixed, so I can. Post
great.
there again. So check that out. DominicGJones.substack.com, aka Hot Off the Press. Again, reminder: subscribe if you haven't. Become a channel member if you enjoy the content and want to, throw $1 in the tip jar. Is $5 the minimum? I don't know, something. Leave a review if you are enjoying the shows, and if you're not enjoying the shows, don't put that kind of negativity out in the world and just move along.
Just give us 5 stars. You can say whatever you want in the review. Look, you can call us names in the review. I don't care. Just give us 5 stars.
There you go.
Say they were the worst podcast ever, but give us 5 stars.
There you go. Join the Discord for more keeping the conversation going between shows and for all the fun that Ben and Joel are cooking up. Follow us on social media at the SWU, and of course, check out the other programming on the Star Wars Underworld Network, including the Raeside, Ion Cannons, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and the Tractor Beam. All right. That is it. We are out of here. Star Wars Underworld will be back next week for more conversations. We hope to see you then. But until then, for Ben, for Hannah and Chris who aren't here, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.